connection between stress and your eating behaviour, but also stress and how it affects your metabolism and how it affects our digestion. I think most people realise that stress has an impact very often on one's eating behaviour. Very commonly, people find that when they're stressed, they're much more likely to use food as a coping mechanism, and perhaps it might lead to mindless snacking or even binge eating. They not realise at the time that they're doing it, but realise afterwards that perhaps that's what's going on. So first of all, let's think about the stress response and what is it. It's important to understand what happens when we are in that sort of stress state, how we have evolved. So many years ago, our ancestors evolved with this stress response where we're in it's known as the sympathetic nervous system. And what happens is that we have this ability to release certain stress hormones which trigger this response, which actually diverts all our energy and blood away from our digestive system to our muscles so that we can react very quickly. So for example, running away from a wild animal, as we used to do. But unfortunately, in today's world and our society, most of us are pretty much stressed all the time, or there's some kind of level of stress going on in our lives. So this means that the body is primed for this stress a lot of the time, and it's doing the same thing that it should be doing where we're in situations where we actually need the stress response. I often think sometimes for example, if you step in the road and a car's coming and you want to step out the way quickly, that stress response reacting. For certain situations that are important for life-saving situations, we need that stress response. But what we don't need is that chronic stress that we all really experience, or most of us experience, I would say. So that is automatically having an impact on our digestion and how things work when we're eating. So if you think about it, our digestive system, if we are stressed, our digestive system is slowing down. It's not doing what it needs to do, such as releasing all the digestive enzymes and the stomach acid, which needs to actually first of all break down the food and digest the food properly and then absorb the nutrients. So that whole process is not going to be working properly when you're in a stress state. So if you think about, if you have anxiety, for example, over what you're eating, or you worry, or you've got those thoughts going on in your head before, during or after you're eating some kind of food, and that's triggering your stress response, you're going to be shutting down almost your digestive system. And that means that you're not going to be getting any of the nutrients that you're eating, or enough of them, absorbing them as you would if you were in the rest and digest state, which is known as the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's really going to have an impact on that, but it's going to have an impact on all other areas as well, really impacting how your metabolism is actually working, how your energy levels as well. And for many people, they experience things like bloating, so really uncomfortable and distressing digestive symptoms. And I know for many of you guys struggling with your relationship with food, bloating can be quite a triggering thing in itself. So often people find that there's that sort of feeling of overfullness, of fatness, of whatever, when really it's essentially gas from foods being fermented where it's not supposed to be fermented because it hasn't been digested properly. It really does have a big impact in many, many areas. Those are just a few. It's really important to try to get yourself into that rest and digest state before you're eating. So try and, first of all, just taking some really deep breaths. I like doing the box breathing, very gentle, deep breaths, very calming, where you breathe in for 4, breathe right into your belly so that your belly extends out, and then you hold for 4, and then you breathe out for 4, and you notice your belly flattening then once you breathe out. So that's real deep belly breathing. It's so simple, but it can just get you into your parasympathetic nervous system state, which you really want to be in before you eat. But also really noticing the thoughts that you're having around the foods is key as well. I'd recommend really focusing on. The breathing is really helpful anyway in terms of your resilience to stress. Doing some kind of meditational breathing can be really transformational and really helpful if you do it regularly. And just start to really connect with your body and listen to your body and notice if you're sort of feeling very tight and perhaps your breathing is shallow and you're quite stressed. But even things like, what are you doing when you're eating? Are you working? Are you answering emails? Are you in front of a screen? That's all going to be triggering more of a stress response. So all those things to take into account, bear in mind this week. If you have any questions or anything else surrounding this or anything else, do feel free to ask in the group. I would love to hear from you. Take care.